Hello and welcome to the program. I'm Bridget Brennan in Darwin. Coming up, a look at how climate change could affect the Torres Strait Islands.
We're left in a situation where up until the 11th hour we'll be told to pack up and leave.
But first, it's been a long-awaited homecoming. The community of Gunbalanya in Arnhem Land has been celebrating the return of their ancestors' bones. 60 years after they were taken by researchers, the remains have finally been reburied. Genevieve Hussey reports.
It's a funeral. We're burying people. Once were taken away to other countries, and now they send them back to us.
The community of Gunbalanya in West Arnhem Land is celebrating a long-awaited return. After 60 years, the bones of their ancestors have been returned to their country.
When the first few came back home, I felt happy. I felt very happy.
Our ancestors came back. Finally, we got them back, and for me and the family, so we're happy to put the remains on the ground and welcome back home.
It is a sense of completion for the community, and it is a sense of joy. It's kind of like a joyful burial because they're home.
In the north of Australia, scientists of the Arnhem Land expedition, conducted by the Australian Department of Information and the National Geographic Society of America, set out along the Alligator River to gather specimens. One at Argalook Hill behind...
In 1948, a team of American and Australian researchers, led by Charles Mountford, embarked on an epic scientific expedition across Arnhem Land.
One of its objectives was to try to understand the relationship between Aboriginal people and the environment. That was, in fact, quite groundbreaking in terms of anthropology.
They had everything from an ichthyologist to entomology. One of the main things they wanted to do was to promote Australia around the world, and so the Department of Information was very much involved in saying, well, this is a giant scientific expedition.
In the country around Gunbalanya in West Arnhem Land, they struck scientific gold.
Primitive relics of an even more primitive age.
There's one isolated hill, and that was absolutely loaded with all sorts of wonderful paintings of the art of the area. And we spent days and days up there photographing them.
The team not only collected bark paintings and Aboriginal implements, it also took pieces of human bone.
In the excavations of a rock shelter.
They were excavating these sites, and during these excavations they found some fragments of human bone, but most of the human remains were simply removed from the back of rock shelters. They were lying where they'd been left many years ago, some of them in paper bark, and they were simply taken away by the researchers.
Much of the collection ended up at the Smithsonian Institution in the United States.
There are hundreds of objects that range from bark paintings to a wide variety of tools, all sorts of things.
But it was the collection of human bones that the community of Gunbalanya was concerned about.
Bodies were taken without any asking. So we had no ceremony for them because they were away. That I didn't like.
Those remains should never be touched in the first place. We should never remove any remains or disturb them once they've been placed in a place where they belong.
In 2008, the Smithsonian returned 2/3 of the human remains to Australia, but it kept the rest. Last year, after lobbying from traditional owners, the Smithsonian agreed to return the remaining bones, and traditional owners from West Arnhem Land travelled to the US to collect them.
They performed a very beautiful ceremony at the Smithsonian Institution. Joe Gumbalo, one of the representatives, put it to me. These spirits, these people have just been hearing American accents over here. We want them to hear their language, and so almost on a sort of wave of song, they were being taken back into their country.
So I feel sorry that they were stolen. Stealing is not bloody good to everybody. We should leave stealing and live together, black and white.
Now those remains have been laid to rest, along with remains that had been held by the Museum of Victoria and the Museum and Art Gallery of the Northern Territory.
We are gathered now to celebrate our loved ones and to lay them in the ground. They were taken away from us for many years and now finally came home to us to rest in peace.
Archaeologists say this first ever international repatriation by the Smithsonian Institution's National Museum of Natural History sets an important precedent.
It's the thin edge of the wedge in a way, and other Aboriginal communities and other countries will be able to seek repatriation of that material.
Other museums and galleries around the world that hold human remains from Western Arnhem Land should be talking to communities now about how to get them back and the best way to bring them home.
There's a lot of remains that are still being kept overseas as well. This is the first step.
But for the community of Gunbalanya, this is the end of a long battle.
It is a happy ending story for us. It's been very rewarding day for everyone to honor them and to welcome them back to the community.
Finally, they all came back. Would they come back and sleep now? They will forever.